1971 was the first year that a home pregnancy test was available on the market in Canada, and it wasn't until 1975 that it was available here in the US. 10 years later, EPT, one of the leading brands that sold that home pregnancy test, said that it had sold 10 million of them. But 10 years before that, in 1967, the idea that anyone could, or even should be able to find out if they were pregnant at home, in the privacy of their own home, with no doctor involved, was an idea that was somewhat unthinkable. The person who changed all of that is Meg Crane. So she is here with us. One day, Meg was in the labs, and she saw a test that was designed for doctors to give pregnancy tests in the lab and in the clinic setting. And she saw it, and she had an idea that nobody else had really had, which was that women could do this for themselves.
These were tests that when a woman went to her doctor, supposing she was pregnant, would leave a sample of urine with him, mostly him, and that doctor would send it to this laboratory. So looking at this, I thought, my God, this is, a woman could do this herself. All you need is the right chemistry and a test tube and a mirror. And I went home to New York that night, and I kept thinking about it. And I eventually approached the company, one of the executives in the company, and I said, I think this would be a great idea for you. And he sort of laughed. He said, no way, we'd lose our doctor business. How could we do a test for women? We can't do that. And we'd lose our other business. Nobody would want to touch us for that. I was just said, this had to happen. I don't know why, but I thought this really had to be. And so I went back to New York again, and I tried a few different designs, and I wasn't very happy with them. And I saw on my desk a plastic box. It was about this high, and it had a little cap, and it was a rigid plastic box. It came in all different colors in one of the stores in New York, and it cost about 50 cents. If it was that, it was a lot. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. All it needed was a little mirror at the bottom, angled at the bottom in the box itself, and a shelf that would hold a test tube and an eyedropper to measure out the urine and the water that was necessary for it. And I brought that again to the company, and there was no way they were going to do this. Now I found out at some point that the product people were going to be showing their work in the conference room, and I asked to be invited to this conference. And I came in and I put mine at the end of the conference table after they lined theirs up. They had about 3 different designs. And in the door came Ira Sturtevant from the ad agency, and I'd never met him before. And he walked down the table and he picked mine up and he said, well, this is what we're using, aren't we? And they said, oh no, that's something Meg did for talking purposes. I was stunned. And some of the designs that the product people, I have to say they're men, I love men, but they did a good job on this. Some of them they were squishy, and they had like little, purple diamonds all around them, and some had flowers, and some, one had a tassel at the top. I saw the people in the company after when they said, well, yours is obviously, it's very elegant, it's much too expensive, we couldn't afford to make that. So I took off a couple of days. I went to the Yellow Pages. I looked at plastics. I knew nothing about plastics. And I went to companies in the Bronx and companies in Newark, and I couldn't tell them what it was for, but just could they make this plastic box in a sense. And everybody gave me somebody else to see until I finally got to a company that said that's the kind of thing they do, and they could do it, and they came back with some prices which were like a third less than what the product manager, the product designers were offering. And so they had to use mine. And at this point, the advertising guy who had walked in that day and picked up actually, the minute I saw him, this is an aside, I went home to my roommate that night and I said, I just met the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And it was the rest of his life. He died 8 years ago, and we immediately started seeing each other, working on the project, of course. And it's fun to work in a pregnancy test with somebody. Said, no, we decided we're going to test market it, and we're going to do it in Canada. And so we actually introduced it in Canada. And but at this point, the company people were telling me that this is not, we're not going to do that here because it's immoral. It's not something women should do. And what happens if one of the senator's daughters took the test and jumped off a bridge? We'd lose all our business. I mean, it was just so incredible. But in this period of time, this is the late 60s, you know, the era of the sexual revolution, so-called, and the pill wasn't really available to everybody, though it came around. It was available in the early 60s, but doctors weren't giving it willy-nilly to any woman who asked, certainly not single women. And a lot of women were worried about pregnancy because Roe v. Wade didn't come till the early 70s. And so when I saw this possibility, I thought this is really, really useful product.
Yeah, I mean, I love this story because I think that when you make this idea that this was something that a woman could do for herself, and then you as a woman had to go and do it yourself in order for that project to exist, is this sort of nice parallel here. I mean, do you have advice for other people who are trying to push an idea from the outside like that?
I can tell you one thing, because in order to do this product, the company decided it had to be patented, and so they applied for 2 patents in my name because they couldn't patent under their own name. And for me to have them do it, the patent work for me, I signed off my rights. I didn't get any pay for the pregnancy test. And they had lawyers at this little ceremony to sign the paperwork. And I tell anybody, listen, if they have lawyers and you don't do it. Just walk away, get some lawyers, come back, whatever, but just don't be there without any legal help in a situation that you think is going to be important like that. I was very naive, extremely. I just wanted this product to exist. Thank you.